everybody, and welcome to Live with Lav.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. If you don't know Lav, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Lavanya, and I'm Jyoti's friend.
Yeah, Lav is an amazing friend, amazing Bhangra dancer, amazing singer, amazing
you.
doctor.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And we're going to do a wee live stream today for all you guys. Hello on TikTok as well. We're live on TikTok. And if you can see here, you can see Lav sings. So you can watch Lav singing on TikTok there. And also that's me as well. And also if you got any questions, just write them in the chat. So we've got some nice chamomile tea today.
I've got some coffee. Oh, it's hot.
Nice. And we're just going to have a nice conversation. Maybe go a bit deep. See if some wisdom comes up. If you watch some of the videos before, you'll know that I'm interested in the subconscious mind, wisdom, and how you can make yourself a better human being. So, yeah. So, hello.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me on Jyoti Video Projects.
Thank you for being here, lad. So, yeah. What would you like to talk about?
I think it'll be interesting to talk about because you're interested in, well, like you said, what you're interested in. And I'm interested in singing.
Yeah.
But I like singing South Asian songs. Of note, that's kind of my speciality.
Oh, come on, it's not off note. It's much better than off note. If you guys in the audience know how Lav sings, put that in the chat.
So that's my kind of interest. So I learned Carnatic music, which is a type of Indian classical music. So that's where my roots are from. So I like to incorporate that into my music now. So nice. I think we've got a crossover because you're interested in
Bhangra. We're part of the same Bhangra group. I don't know where your loyalties lie. Like APV or Edinburgh.
APV right now.
Yes. Shout out to APV if you're watching this. Minnie, Soman, Anuj, wherever you are.
Tira
as well. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, it'll be interesting to know just your journey as well as a doctor.
Yes, so I graduated med school during the pandemic. Yeah. So that was not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago.
It was.
I learned South Asian music and I learned Carnatic music, like I said, and I learned classical dance as well. So that was part of my childhood growing up. And I did that a lot at school, and I went into Bhangra at uni.
Yeah.
So kind of, digressed. I went into Bollywood and I tried to explore a bit more. So it's been a part of kind of my journey throughout life. But the pandemic hit and I suppose we all had a lot of time in our hands. We all had a lot of time to think, time to follow our passions in a way, but also probably had a bit too much time in our hands, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're familiar with some of the content on my YouTube, I kind of go into that kind of stuff, that mind we were in that pandemic. So how did we kind of connect to ourselves and what did we learn from going slow to go far?
Going slow to go far.
And yeah, I thought it'd be interesting just to have a conversation about what we learned in our life about going slow and what were kind of the lessons about going slow, who kind of do we listen to online that we're quite inspired by.
Yeah. But I suppose the pandemic slowed it all down, didn't we? We were all running around, we were going to our jobs, we were doing exams, we were doing this and that. We didn't stop and we didn't have a reason to stop.
Yeah.
And the pandemic was like, you better stop. Yeah. Everything closed down. We couldn't see people. We had to be with ourselves. Yeah. And for us, the people that were lucky, we had our families, but a lot of people just had themselves to be around. So they had to slow down. Plus. Exactly. They really had to slow down.
What was one of the things for you that helped you slow down? Or how do you deal with the pandemic?
I struggled. Yeah. I think everyone probably would struggle to a certain extent because it's a huge change to life. It was like, right, this is your life now. These are all these rules that I suppose it's quite, the government have put these rules in, so you had to, So I struggled, but I think that's where I started exploring things that I wouldn't have explored before, like content creation and what I wanted to do with music, dance. But in a way, it also made me slow down a lot about mental health, about personal development. But I don't think back in that time it was a good space, especially with the pandemic, to work on for myself anyway, personal development and that sort of side of things.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people struggled, probably because there weren't many avenues to work on your mental health or to work on your self-confidence or to work on yourself because, well, you couldn't leave the house.
Exactly.
So that was hard.
You were just forced into it. But no, thank you for sharing that. And I found, like, myself as well, going to the pandemic, going into the nature, right? Because I've been living here for a long time. I didn't even know there was like a farm.
Really?
There. So I didn't explore that, right?
And if you know Jyoti, he likes his nature.
I do like my nature. You always find me up a mountain. Hey, there's 3 guys watching from my side. What's up? It's probably my mum, my sister, my dad.
We've got 25 over here. No one's really said anything.
So if you do have any questions as well, drop them in the chat. Feel free to make some tea as well, some coffee. Yeah, this is just a conversation, and we're gonna probably have some nice wisdom for you guys. If you got any deep questions, drop them as well. But yeah, like people, if there's young people watching this, right, and they're teens or 20s, and they're like, oh, I want to express myself, and maybe they're watching some Mike Pungra videos, Red Gut Teacher, and they're watching your videos, right, and you're like, damn, I want to express myself.
Yeah.
I want to express myself, but I don't know how.
Don't know how. I suppose in a way, do you ever feel like you're kind of putting a video out there is quite, it's exposing yourself in a way that the whole world's going to see.
Yeah.
And often, I don't know if you struggled with this a lot, but growing up, you grew up here in the west of Scotland.
Yeah.
I grew up in the east. And I think my South Asian part of me was exposed to me by my parents. And a lot of people at school, even at uni, didn't really know that part of me existed.
Yes.
Which is a huge part of me.
Yeah.
And my identity. So I feel like posting and talking about these things and expressing myself online is paving the path for all these younger teens and all these, people that do watch and do want to express themselves. And I hope it does anyway. I hope it inspires them, because when I grew up, I didn't have that. Yeah. I think I had Lily Singh.
That was
Superwoman. Yeah. That was the only person of colour that I could remember being on, that I was exposed to on a platform online. Even in TV and stuff, I didn't see any of this representation. So I think, what would your advice be?
I completely agree with that, because also we're coming from kind of different generations in a way. If you guys on my YouTube channel have watched Legend of Mr. Singh, right? And that whole immigrant journey, them coming in the 1950s, 1960s, the first generation coming, the second generation coming, and then me, right? The third generation. What was that like? Hey, from Germany. What was that like coming from Europe? If you're Indian, if you're South Asian, if you're from an immigrant community, what is the struggle, right? And how do we express ourselves? How do we integrate both of these parts of ourselves? That's what I'm super interested in. And you're doing a great job, right? You're expressing that amazing culture.
I think you're doing a great job too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we're doing great.
I think you're doing a good job as well. You guys are watching this.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was younger, I used to roll up the windows when I listened to Punjabi music, because it is a part of you. Culture, I think, is something that it has this wisdom in it that allows you to express. No, we don't speak Arabic, sorry, but we express through that culture, right? We express through the dance, through the music, through the through that flavor. And so if we're not connecting to that culture, if we're not expressing ourselves in the culture, we're kind of expressing a wise part of ourselves, we're not expressing that wise part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's like really beautiful to express that part of ourselves. So I don't know, how do you feel when you like, just when you're like, you're just letting loose and you're like, oh.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think
You guys know.
I think so. My kind of experience with content creation, posting stuff online, when I started off during the pandemic, I actually started my page in 2018. So this is pre-pandemic, and I sang Adele, I sang Rihanna. It was all songs that I grew up with, but potentially weren't songs that I loved and I really wanted to resonate and get out there. Because in a way, the people that followed me didn't know that side to me. And I wasn't ready to show people that side of me, to say, hey, look, I can actually speak another language. I've actually trained in all these different things. They just didn't know that side of me. And I wasn't ready. It was almost kind of inbuilt guilt and shame. Like the way you said about rolling up the windows when you listen to music. Yeah. I kind of remember back to school and everyone had sandwiches. And I would have like not a sandwich. Yeah. I don't know what I took to school actually, but yeah, just little things like that. Yeah. Wearing a bindi. My dad was really keen to kind of get that part of the culture in. And I still get questions, but I think it's about how they affect you now. What's that red dot doing on your head? Yeah. Before I would be like, oh, now I can't wear that red dot. You know, it would affect you and it would be a lot of shame and it would all build up. But I think it's over the years, it's becoming more comfortable with your identity. And I think people have also, because they're more exposed to kind of media and culture in a way, I think it's done good for awareness that there are different cultures out there. And I think that's great. I think that's great.
I think it's amazing. Because, yeah, like that, I totally relate to that sandwich thing. like going to school, or even like work nowadays. You're bringing in a curry.
Yep.
And you're like, damn, I'm smelling the whole place out with my curry. But then, again, just express that part of your culture, not cut that off. I think, I don't know, as a third generation, I don't know how you see like being a first generation and that shame or that weirdly guilt, but I don't know how that works because it's a culture, but then coming into like maybe a culture where you are more of a minority, let's say, and you're trying to express yourself, how, I don't know why these things arise, and then how can you just like move past that, you know?
So personally, sorry, I forgot what I was saying. So I posted all these videos.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let's just sidetrack it.
Yeah, we definitely did. But so I posted all these kind of pop songs, English pop songs, and the pandemic hit, and I suppose I was listening to kind of songs that I would actually listen to, and I wanted to sing them. I really wanted to post them. So I did start posting them, but I was very hesitant. I would kind of read into like who was liking it, what the comments were like, were people enjoying it? And I think it did take me a certain length of time to recognize that I was doing it for myself. I wanted to do it for myself. And I wanted to showcase my culture rather than seek other people's approval. Because at the end of the day, they could maybe criticize the way I'm singing or like my voice, but they shouldn't be criticizing the music itself and the fact that there's different styles of music, there's different forms of music. So I think when I did do the Neuron Sisters, it's very, very, very different to the music that I have sang before and the voices that I have used before. So it did push me both from a technical vocal point of view, but also posting yourself online, essentially using a very deep, not very feminine voice, a very strong, gritty voice out there. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But it is the way the song's supposed to be sung. It is the way that there's different sorts of kind of genres of music. I think it's just putting it out there on the map. And people love it. And I didn't expect that when I posted it. I was just like, oh, I'll try this. I don't know if I can. I was overthinking. I was like, oh, are people going to judge me? Are people going to do this, do that? But I think it does take time to just let go and not have that sense of people feeling like people are going to judge you or people are going to, it's hard though, because you're putting yourself out there. I don't know how you feel.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's super vulnerable, because like, how does that make you feel afterwards when you're just putting it out there and then you're seeing everybody? How does that make you see yourself in the past? View yourself? You know?
Yeah. But I think little Jyoti and little Lav would be proud.
Yeah.
Because I think we craved that, didn't we? We craved that representation. We craved to, well, I did anyway. I don't know if I can speak for you, but like to be able to not feel small or hide things that were inherently just part of us.
Yeah.
And things that we shouldn't be ashamed of. And now I don't even think twice if I'm wearing a bindi or a jhumka, or if I sing a song in front of people that may not know that song. And a part of me looks back and I'm like, oh, my inner Lav is healing. My little child is healing. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's so nice. How do you feel?
Absolutely. So, thank you for sharing. To you guys as well. I think that's just your name. Okay. No, I feel, obviously I'm training as a coach. So I am super interested in coaching, in therapy, in psychology. And if you guys don't know, you have like an inner child. You also have this adult. You also have your heart, right? Your true self. And when you're connecting to that inner child part of yourself, so I don't know if you know Myers-Briggs or anything. That's a joke among us. But Myers-Briggs or Enneagram, other things like that. These tools in psychology help us understand our personality. And when we are like looking up about these tools, we can start to understand ourselves. So maybe if you're not too emotional, if you're maybe more caught in the brain, you can have a look online and be like, okay, I resonate with that. How do I feel deep inside, you know? Can I resonate in my inner child with that? Do I feel like I'm avoiding something? Do I feel guilty? Do I feel shameful? And if so, why? And then can you connect to that? And then when you connect to that, and when you express yourself, you're stepping into your power, right? So if you want to express yourself, if you want to sing, if you want to dance, if you want to do anything that you want,
try something new.
What you're actually doing is you're actually going to that vulnerable part of yourself. You're saying, hey, I'm expressing this part of myself. I'm, almost hugging that part of myself and bringing it up. And that's a beautiful thing to do, because you're not only just bringing power to yourself, but you're bringing power to other people, because other people see themselves through you. And that's a wonderful thing you're doing. To anybody who's entertaining, anyone who's out there, you have that power as well.
Yeah.
So whatever your gift is, express it. I think it's a vulnerable part. Even me, like doing this YouTube, right? I think it was 2020. I like kind of wrote a script for what was that? What did I make? A Punjabi lore series, right? I was super scared to even make a video. I wrote a script. I think I was supposed to be doing my master's at the time. I just left the script. What did I do? Yeah, I recorded a video. I was in Germany at the time. I left the video. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should edit this video. So I edited the video. I put it up onto YouTube. And I was super just like very scared to put myself out there. And even it's not much of an emotional thing. It's just me talking about history. But to put yourself out there, to put your face out there, to put your voice out there, because your voice is not just a sound. It's an expression of who you are. The tones, the pace of it.
And I think you have to be in the right mind space to receive, to create this content, but also receive, because people are going to...
Oh, sorry for the rain, guys.
Scotland. People are going to say what they want. Yeah. There are going to be people out there that will criticize it in a good way, constructively. There are people that are going to bash it because sadly they have a lot of time in their hands.
Yeah.
But also in a way they might not like it. And I think it's being in that right mind state to say, I'm going to express myself. I'm I'm going to create this content. I'm going to dedicate this time, and I'm going to put it out there for the world to see.
Yes.
Regardless of whatever the reaction is. And I think that takes a lot. So well done.
Yeah.
And look at you now,
Thank you.
posting all these videos.
And now we're live, guys.
We're live.
Yeah. It's actually like super, also like being live, being in a space where you can just like mess up.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
I think that's it, isn't it? Because
four, sorry guys. That's one person left.
But that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going live and having unedited content. It's almost like singing a live concert, which is much harder than, you know, making a full backing track and recording yourself and having all these perfect takes. But I think, I think it's great that we can chat about this live.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about your journey.
Yeah.
After that.
So
how are we here?
How are we here?
How did you go slow to go far?
So so like after creating like my YouTube content, I like the initial ones, I was just super interested. Like I was in the library and I was supposed to be doing my master's, and I picked up a book, The History of Sikhs. And I was like, I had no idea about colonialism, about East and West cultures. You know, I was just doing my master's. And then I was like, okay, how can I improve myself? How can I understand my culture? How can I connect to my culture? And so I just made a YouTube script and I posted it on YouTube. How can I talk to people online? How can I connect to people? How can I express myself? And then I was like, you know, I want to join Bhangra, but I was actually scared about joining Bhangra. And I took a whole summer to join Bhangra class as well.
Really?
Yeah. So that was a big thing for me as well. But then it's just like a ball rolling. Once you start something, you're going to be like, all right, I've got a skill here. I'm just going to keep going. And then after that, I started to go into my granddad's journey. I started to look at immigrants arriving in the 50s and 60s. And then how did my mum's generation grow up, which is kind of like your generation. And then how did that affect our generation, the third generation, right? If we're going into a career and we'll sing New Ancestors in a bit. I'll sing New Ancestors. If we're going into a career, how am I showing up in a career? Is that because of some cultural influences? Because when we're in a South Asian culture, maybe we have a lot of unity, we have a lot of selflessness, we have a lot of collective elements, but also there is sort of boundary setting, right? There's also trying to be an individual and express yourself. In Indian culture, that's hard because, and South Asian culture, because you're trying to not bring shame to the community. Maybe you want your child to be a certain way or do a certain thing, and that puts a lot of pressure on the child. So also going through that YouTube journey and understanding that, I saw these patterns happening, not just in myself. So I applied for medicine, I got rejected, and then I went for biomedical engineering. And then through my own journey, I found out actually coaching was actually something I'm very interested in. Understanding people's personality, understanding people's potential, and then incorporating that into my YouTube. So that's kind of why we're here.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
What a journey. But you've had to go through a lot of kind of perhaps not successes. You've had to kind of see different parts to be like, you know, this is not what I want, this is what I want. It's really interesting what you brought up about expectations growing up and how our South Asian background might will inevitably influence that. But I suppose, what are your experiences with that?
I mean, my experiences, first of all, I see a lot of videos, maybe on TikTok, of some people crying and maybe being like, oh no, you know, my parents, but actually realizing that you can have compassion for wherever anyone's coming from, because they're also a product of their circumstances. The previous generation had to work very hard to come to the West. In some cases, my granddad working in the shop all the time. And so they're going to have maybe a perspective of wanting people to be very successful. And they're going to have a different perspective. So coming up just with compassion for the previous generation, and then understanding, who am I? What is my personality? What is my gift set? What is my skill set? And then realizing, if I'm failing, and if I'm failing to do well in an exam or something, is that a representation of me? Or is that a representation of just how good I am in that area?
Yeah.
So if I fail an exam, it doesn't mean I'm bad.
No.
It's not my self-worth. It just means that I haven't done well in that, and maybe it's not for me.
So, and there's so many factors that can contribute to that as well, can't it? It can be life factors. It can be just the fact that maybe that isn't your best skill set. You're maybe tailored to other things. But in order to recognize that, I think you have to go through certain experiences and have a bit of maturity to realize that. I think often people can, with the expectations and with the fact that you can often feel like either a failure or that you're not satisfying your family's needs or their expectations of you. So I think it requires a certain level of self-development to come to that stage and be like, actually, is this a reflection of me or is it a reflection of the expectations that are put on me? And why are there those expectations there in the first place? And like you said, it's having that empathy, but also being in that mind space to have that empathy and analysing it. Because I think growing up, I didn't have the perspective or even the mindset to think, why are they wanting that from me? And even approaching, should I have a conversation? Because I was young, I was a teenager, and often it was just, why this, why that? And it would be more argumentative kind of conversations rather than constructive. My parents obviously came from India, and I grew up here. So there's a lot of kind of differences between what their expectations are because how they grew up. And I can see that now. But I definitely couldn't see it growing up. And I think that was that butt heads. And I think it's getting to that stage and realising. And obviously my approach to my kids and future generations is going to be very different. But I think, like you said, it's about life experiences. And I can understand that now as to why they would do that. But it's hard to be in that kind of position and understand. I don't know if you felt like that before.
Yeah, it's super hard because obviously when we're in that position, like Lav said, it's just really difficult because we're almost wanting to go into defense mode and we're wanting to defend ourselves and we're wondering why are, what even are boundaries, or am I trying to, what am I doing? Is it for me? Is it for other people? What should I be doing here? And we can get very defensive. But I think I have a video coming out later. I think it's like an Einstein quote, like, in order to change something, you have to change your consciousness, right? So you've got to totally come out of that paradigm. And that's why I say go slow to go far, right? Because coming back to that, when we're in that reactive state, we're kind of getting defensive in things. But when we're slowing down, when we're connecting to our values, when we're quieting the noise of the outside, whether that be parents, whether that be society, then we're quieting the noise on the inside, our expectations, our belief, and we're going to go so slow, then we can connect to that deep part within us that wants to express ourselves. Then we can go far. So I have definitely struggled with like being unable to separate from the external and internal noise.
Yeah.
And that causes you to get stuck in a loop, right? So if you're in a work position where you're super overwhelmed by the systems, by the people, or in a relationship where you're overwhelmed, whether that be, a relationship this way, in your generation, brother, sister, partner, this way with your parents, or this way with your children, any relationship where you feel you're getting overwhelmed, again, yes, I'm Indian, I'm also British, then we also can connect to ourselves as well, to go slow. So that's how it can really help in work situations and relationships itself.
But I
as
think
well.
going slow to going far.
Yeah.
Now that quote has actually worked wonders for me personally. I think I've had a lot of kind of conflicts at work recently, starting a new job, new personalities, way things work, and I think I work in the NHS. So people are really working quite hard, and I think it's hard. We don't really get that kind of employee well-being support or team bonding, essentially. Any sort of how to work with a team, how to resolve conflict. It's often done between the individual, or it just goes out of hand. So I think that quote for me, especially at work recently, or even with conflicts, like you said, in different relationships, it's taking that space back and looking at it from another perspective, as if you're an observer. That's really helped for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any useful tips, but it's helped to kind of look at it a more objective view than a subjective view, just from yourself kind of feeling anger and feeling all the emotions that you're feeling at the moment. Just taking deep breaths and going slow.
Absolutely. And yeah, I salute you for doing that, because that's so hard to do, right? I mean, it's not an easy thing. It's like, how the heck am I supposed to go slow, like when things are happening in the real world, right? It's just so hard.
Yes.
And just not to put pressure on ourselves to get it right all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because life's hard.
Yeah. And I think often though, if you are that person that can kind of take a deep breath, step back, sometimes it can make you feel like you're being pushed over, or that you're stepping down. And I think it's finding that fine balance, because the person that's seeing that on the other end can see it like that. So I think it's important to take your stance as well and say how you feel, but it's about how you say it. Because I found that recently, perhaps being quiet and just being the quiet one, you do sometimes have to say what you think.
Exactly.
So go slow, but speak your mind.
Speak your mind. I think that's such a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Because hi. Because like when you're like trying to say things, or sorry, it takes a degree of humility first to be like, I'm gonna hold my mouth, but then being like, okay, I want to be humble, but I want to also speak my mind. That's a difficult thing to do, because you got to be super humble, but you're going to speak the truth out of love.
I've got a question for you. Oh yes, of love. I've got a question for you actually. So in terms of conflict, do you think our South Asian heritage, because our families work in perhaps quite different ways. Every family works in different ways, but South Asian families tend to be quite close-knit. We know a lot about each other, and especially my experience with conflict is we speak our mind. We say what we want, and then we resolve it. But also we forgive a lot.
Yes.
We forgive, especially with, say, extended family or family friends, or, the extended kind of circle. We tend to forgive because they are family, and we are taught that because family are important. Do you think that has a play in our relationships, our other relationships in life, say colleagues or friends, or the tendency to perhaps forgive and not really speak our mind often? Because I will do anything to forgive my family, but sometimes I feel I can say anything to my family and we'll get back together. It's going to be okay. But you don't get that sort of relationship with friends sometimes. It's unless it's a really good friendship and they can understand and it's almost like family. But have you had what are your thoughts on that?
Well, oh man, that's a super good question. Super deep, right? I love it. I mean, if it's like from our South Asian heritage and we're like, so you mean like if you're speaking to your family in terms of like you're South Asian and you're relating to your friends who are not South Asian?
Yeah, so in a way, like, for example, us growing up, I certainly did as a South Asian woman, perhaps expressing myself quite a lot, quite recently actually. I've been putting myself out there for everyone to see, and it perhaps not might be to people's taste. So you often get the comments, you get this and that, and you have to forgive, especially if it's family. Do you know, like we're told to forgive, we're told to let things go. Do you find that with relationships going forward, it puts you more in a tendency to forgive rather than approach problems.
So, I mean, can you forgive and approach problems at the same time?
That'll be the healthy thing.
Because because at the end of the day, the level of trust you have is not necessarily just for the person, but it's for yourself. Because if you see yourself as whole and complete, then you'll hopefully be able to talk to anybody at that level of base humanity, because you're seeing past the person, their personality, and speaking your mind. I can't do that 100% of the time, but
it's
I
hard.
feel that
it's very hard.
That is something we can aim for. If that doesn't happen, then we cut people off because we feel hurt or we feel avoidant. And or in other circumstances, we can become explosive and reactive and defend ourselves. But
do you think it's better to cut off, or do you think it's better to explode? Not that both are neither are ideal, but in a way, do you think it's better to just let it all out and tell the person how you feel? Because often personal experiences, there's so many what happened there? Why did that happen? So would you rather it was just someone just told you front on, look, this is why I'm angry with you? Because I think I could hopefully deal with that and come to my own kind of what would you call it, inner peace in a way, because you don't have that what if in your head. So what do you think what do you think is a healthy way to approach conflict?
Yeah, like there's different personalities, right? And so different personalities, some are going to be avoidant, and it would suit them better to wait it out in a way, and then meet someone. So if you're if you know the Myers-Briggs, and you know your ENFJs, then you're going to be a bit more avoidant, and you're going to be like wait it out, and that can lead to some things where people are going to be like chasing you and you're going to be running away. Alternatively, you're like an ENTJ character. You're going to want the truth, right? Straight away. And you're going to want very quick conflict resolution. Now, these are just archetypes that happen within you. If you want an explanation for that, I can.
Do you think personality types are genetically influenced? Because I found out last night, I went to my parents and I was like, look, I'm doing a great live with Jyoti video project. So we need to find out your personality type. So
no way.
My parents sat down, did
I
it.
guess your mum.
So my mum and my dad is the same personality type as me.
No way.
ESFP, which I just did. I can see it now. I am very much like my father.
Cool.
And we're the same person essentially. And everyone says that all the time. I look like him as well.
Nice.
Shout out to dad.
Shout
out to mom. And shout out to moms. And sisters. And brothers.
And brothers. And shout out to you.
You and you and you.
And you.
Where
were we? I feel like I was answering something on conflict resolution. Now we're on personality. But we can do both.
It up. Let's finish off. Basically, my dad's the same personality type as me.
Nice.
My mum's an ISFP.
Ooh.
So she
is. Like my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my second question, but we'll come back to that.
Yes. So if you want to see Lav and her dad sing.
My dad's not singing. He's just reacting, and he's holding a charger, not a belt.
Yeah, it is. Not a belt.
Not a
belt. Wait. Yes, conflict resolution, guys. Don't use belts. Oh, you can.
Can we cut the camera?
It's all part of the fun.
Conflict resolution question.
Okay, so conflict resolution, guys. That was funny. Once upon a time, my uncle, story time, it was like, what did I say? I don't know. There was a funny story about a belt and my uncle, but I forgot about that now. Oh, man. I will tell that for another live stream.
Only for special subscribers.
Yeah. Only if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Do one challenge noodle spicy. We should maybe do a noodle spicy challenge.
Well, if you send me some spicy noodles,
I'll
do the challenge.
Anyway, conflict resolution in a
Yes,
healthy.
in a healthy way.
Yes.
So yeah, different. So let me speak a bit about personalities first.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with Hinduism or Greek mythology or any culture, there's different archetypes. So you have Zeus, you have different Hindu gods, you have pagan gods, and what all these represent are just characters within us. So you'll see different human characters, you'll see you reacting differently in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
These characters through history just shows the different characters within us. Personality types in the modern day, if you know Myers-Briggs, if you know Enneagram, if you know DISC, they are just showing different archetypes at play and what might show up more powerfully in us. And as a human being, we have all the archetypes at play. And part of a healthy human being is trying to integrate all of the archetypes, and that's called individuation. So then part of knowing your archetype or what you show up more strongly as, you can see, hey, am I more avoidant here? Am I more explosive here? And so as a human being, you can take a step back and be like, okay, how can I speak my truth in a healthy way? Am I have a tendency to be more avoidant? Am I a tendency to be more reactive? But how can I know it's very hard to do, but how can I forgive even before a situation has happened? That's like, if you look in philosophy and stuff, that's like the highest goal to attain, the highest consciousness to obtain. If you're not as conscious and you know you're not going to be as conscious, then just being as, okay, how can I not be too reactive here? Or how can I not be too avoidant to help hurt the other person? How can I take some time to process that and then speak to that person? I know it's very hard, but there's different levels of
it's acceptance of all.
Yeah.
What did you call it? The archetypes,
Individuation. It's when we integrate all of these parts.
But it's about accepting all the perhaps the not nice parts and accepting that those parts in you do exist.
Yes.
And it's how you cope with them rather than letting them kind of take over
and fester.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, those parts do kind of overpower.
Yes.
But it's not. I've certainly had it before where you think, oh, this is just going to be me. Like, this is just me. Yeah. I'm a bad person. Why? Like, it's just going to be me. And I suppose it's self-hate. It's coming into kind of rumination and those ideas. But I think it's a huge part of my journey. Certainly has been accepting that that is just a part of me, and it's about how much I can. I suppose you have to let it out once in a while. Do you know? It's not just about like withholding, but it's about accepting it and saying, okay, I'm going to park it at bay and this is how I'm going to do it. But I think it takes a long time, a lot of work to come to that.
It does. It takes a lot of self-work. And if you're into that self-work mode, take a break. But also, like, well done. Because it's hard to do. And also, like you said, like the not nice parts. Like, for that cognitive functions, your top 4, right? If you're using your top 4 cognitive functions, I speak about this with my sister in my YouTube channel, you're going to be showing up like that all the time. So I'm extroverted feeling. I'm also introverted intuition. I like to see the patterns behind things psychologically. I also like the harmony aspect. But if I'm going into my subconscious, I might feel that's not the nice things within me. And also, I think that's not the nice things within the other person. But I haven't integrated that yet because it's in my subconscious. It might be this annoying voice in my head. But just noticing that that is a spectrum or that's an aspect of humanity. And as a person, I'm not just embodying that consciously. It's in my subconscious. So bringing that and then recognizing that. Because a good example, I know I'm talking a bit abstract here, but a good example is if somebody is got like a really strict structure and it's not like it's not got that human aspect. It's like we've got to follow this structure no matter what. I'm like, you're not taking if it's like a doctor in NHS or if it's like you're working in a system and the systems are not benefiting the humans, So some people would actually be more on the side of that because it's very efficient, right? Because the system's very efficient.
Yeah.
But I, for example, would be like, this is, at the expense of humanity.
Inhumane.
And it's inhumane, right? So I cannot see the full good of the efficiency of the system. I'm more on the humane aspect. But coming that together, we can get an efficient system that's humane. So that's what I mean about bringing both aspects. And so knowing your personality type, knowing your archetype, you can do some self-work here. But then not being too attached to your personality type. That's the important type. So all your S types out there, I'm looking at you.
Attacked.
It's all good. So yeah, there's super interesting stuff. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Go deep.
Should we go deep to go shallow?
Within.
To go okay, we need Tira for that. She's good at the catchphrases.
Yes. Manager.
Yeah.
Reality.
Yes. Are we going to go deeper?
We're going to go deeper.
Okay,
it's
guys,
coming out now. I've got the caffeine. That's
sing
fine.
your famous song. Guys, I don't have a famous song.
Jyoti can sing. Why'd you say that?
I don't know. Probably not yet. Habibi to you, my friend. I haven't checked the chat. Sorry, my YouTube, guys.
Oh, wow.
I'm so sorry, guys. We're listening to you in the car. Shout out to you, Minnie.
Minnie and Ben.
Hello, Soman. Shout out.
Soman.
B. John. Do you ever get negative feedback online, and how do you deal with it? I think we talked about that, B. John. But thank you so much. What do you think the effects is if we hold in your expression due to people-pleasing expectations? Again, we just answered that. So thank you.
I think we
so
explode.
Much. We do explode. People-pleasing is a big thing. Please yourself to please others.
People-pleasing is inevitable. I think it's in our human nature to want to seek others' affirmations and approval.
Yes.
We want to be liked. We want to feel loved. We want a huge group of people to be there when we're 80 and look after us. We want a huge family. We want that. So I think when things go wrong, we're like, was it me? Did I not please them enough?
Self-doubt comes in.
Self-doubt. And then you start doing it more.
Yeah.
But guys, people pleasing ain't gonna it's gonna take you far.
Because if you start to not doubt yourself, to please yourself, not in an arrogant way, but to understand that you are whole and you are complete, then you can start to see others in that way as well. So coming from that dynamic, it straightens a lot of things out. Because the internal world and the external world are very similar. If we're looking for approval outside, sometimes we don't have approval inside. I also tend not much to get into conflicts.
I like straightforwardness. Be clear about your intentions. So I know where I stand, but I also have the maturity to accept how the other person feels and then leave it at that. I agree with that. I think that. But I think for myself, I do tend to go down more the empathetic path. So what was I saying? Empathetic path. So I do tend to, if I do have conflict with anyone, I do tend to take a step back, think about what I actually want to say, and then I often ruminate, and then I do go and approach it. But I can't hurt people. You don't want to hurt people, no. So it's a very hard kind of balance, wanting to speak the truth and getting your word out there. But I suppose if you're going to talk to a wall, I think I've started to recognize that sometimes you just talk to a wall, as in a figurative wall, not an actual.
Oh, okay. If you want, we've got a wall here you can talk to.
Have I not been talking to? Comedy. Anyway.
Comedy, guys.
Yeah, I think it's just recognizing if what you're saying is going to get through to the other person. So in my answer to how to deal with conflict with family members and closer family members like your mother and father, I think it has taken me a lot of work
Mm.
to be a bit more mature about it. I think I'm now in, for example, I think my mum had me by this age.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, I'm not that old. Just putting it.
She's not old, guys.
I'm not old. Jyoti's older.
I am older.
There's nothing wrong with aging, but anyway.
Yeah. Hashtag lab jokes. Can we show this comment to everybody?
Oh my
Oh my god.
goodness! Tira,
Tira, your comment is there for everyone to see.
it's out to the whole world.
So if you guys want to use that hashtag,
Yeah,
use that.
I think it's a little bit different with parents.
Yeah,
Certainly.
it's different. You have to have a deep level of respect. There. Where's the chat? There we go. It's different. Like, we love you too, Tira. Shout out to Tira.
Shout out to Tira.
Yeah, like for parents, just gotta love them. We love you.
Thank
We
you.
love you too.
Essie. Do we know Essie?
So man.
So man!
Do we know Essie? It's so man. We love you so much.
I only do the self-love.
Self-love. But yeah, like that wall thing. We're almost going an hour, guys, so I think we'll wrap it up in about an hour. But I hope you enjoyed that. Dosa versus roti. Guys, it's not for us to decide, it's for you to decide.
We'll do another episode where it's just light-hearted chat, okay?
Yeah, dosa versus roti, guys. But if you're going to talk to a wall, make sure it's a decorated wall. Not like this wall.
A pretty wall.
A pretty wall. What was I going to say?
How do you deal with conflict if the other person's
talking
not
to a wall.
receptive?
There was like something like the Buddha said. It's really cool. There was like a guy shouting and screaming and swearing, and the Buddha is just like this.
I'd find that so annoying.
And
though.
then the followers like, what are you saying? He's saying all these nasty stuff. And the Buddha's like, that's his present. And that's with him. I'm just not accepting his gift. And then that guy just went away, and the Buddha's like, so of course that's not in an avoidant way, but it's just recognizing that that person has their own reality, and letting that person be in their reality, and letting you sit where you are.
That's what I was going to say about reality.
Yeah.
I think my personal experience is everyone has their own reality, obviously. But in a way, most of it's kind of in the same linear pattern. Like everyone's realities, it kind of goes this way and that because it's experiences and perceptions of what they go.
Sometimes if you don't give some... Okay, let's just ignore this for a wee while, and you can just say your thing. You can bring Tira back on.
Can you come back? But it's usually kind of in the same plane, I would say. But you often meet people with realities that are just completely, it's like this, completely in a different plane. And I think it's, you can't get through to them.
No.
You cannot get through to them no matter how much. I think that's when a savior complex comes in.
Yes.
And when you're trying to help them out, kind of trying to save them, trying to make them explain your point of view, trying. But it just doesn't reach them. And you start to begin, if your reality is true, and if your experiences are valid and true, and if you've ever experienced that, your experiences are valid, guys. And I think it often takes, speak to your friends, speak to your family, speak to someone. And I found that helps so much, because you start to internalize all these thoughts and you start to doubt yourself. You start gaslighting yourself.
Yes.
You say, wait, did that actually happen? Is there something wrong? Because people have different ways, like you said, about the personalities, about dealing with conflict. And there are people who will doubt themselves if they've done something wrong, the people-pleasing aspect. There are people who will say, did nothing wrong. I have no part to play in this. That was all their fault. And I think it's when you get these two people where the realities go like this, they never meet.
Yes.
That's when it can get really tough. Really, really, really tough. And you start going down a rabbit hole. So whenever you do feel like that, speak to someone about your experiences. And I know it's subjective, and I know that, it's your lived experiences, but it is your experience. So it is valid. And that person may or may not offer their view on it. But it's also really interesting because I've gone through certain experiences and I've not spoken to people about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I do, the other person's reaction is not what you expect it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's often, it's always been reassuring, and it's not often been met with the hatred or the negativity that I would expect. And you often need that person to go, you know what? Your experience is valid and you're allowed to feel like that, and things will get better. And to have that kind of say, and I think that's why it's so important to speak to friends and family. I honestly really, really do. So shout out to all the friends and family that have been there for us. You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. And thank you for sharing that, because that is
deep.
Absolutely amazing thing. Because when you're validating somebody's reality, some ways of seeing things, what does that mean?
Messiah.
I
That's
listen.
Tina.
Oh, okay. Shout out to the real Messiah, Tina. Yeah, but when you're just seeing someone for who they are, you're actually seeing reality, because the true reality is everything without humans, and also recognizing everyone's reality as they live it. And when you're seeing everybody's reality through their perspective, man, that's golden, because you're accepting and you're seeing somebody who they are.
Yeah.
So take time to listen to people, listen to yourself, go in nature, listen to nature as well.
Check in on your friends.
Yeah, man, check in on your friends.
Send them an emoji if you've not heard from them. And if you've not heard from them twice in a row, just keep sending them emoji. I'm sure they'll like it.
Send them that same emoji, and we know who you are sending that emoji.
Wise words.
Thank you. But sometimes if you cannot give something energy, it cannot grow bigger.
Very true. For example, self-love, self-confidence.
Are you talking about muscles, Tina?
Oh, muscles.
That's also true. Build your muscles, guys.
Whoa.
Like plants, right, Tina? What are you guys talking about? I think you guys having a conversation with yourself.
Guys.
Closer to go far. Guys, yeah. Also, it's getting to that lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. You getting hungry?
I'm getting hungry.
You getting hungry, guys, for some dosa? Because we've got some right here.
Dosa's great. I would be, to answer the final question.
Yeah.
Dosa versus roti.
It's absolutely roti.
Whoa! You like that? I'm a dosa girl.
I'm a dosa girl.
I was gonna go dosa girl.
Okay.
I'm a dosa girl because I'm desi. Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Try new things. Live, love yourself.
Love yourself, guys. Love yourself. We've got a lot of requests to do the Neuron Sisters. Guys, if you want to for us to do the Neuron Sisters, book yourself a concert for the Neuron Sisters. Wait, are they not ready?
Roti.
Okay, guys. I think the chat's getting a bit
having too much fun.
You're having too much fun, guys.
Not allowed.
So any last things you'd like to say there?
No, I would just like to say thank you for having me on your channel. It was a great experience.
It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, you made me feel comfortable and I opened up in ways I never thought I would. Thank you. And I hope to come back soon.
That'd be amazing. No, thank you for coming on. That was such a good chat. Thank you for letting me on your TikTok as well.
Oh, yes.
And thank you for all you guys as well. Keep it up, whatever you're doing. Be strong.
Love you all.
Love you all. Take care, guys. And
Bye.
we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.